right, we are back. My name is Kris Fade. Pleasure to be the guest host here of the 100X podcast here, powered by Destination Abu Dhabi. We've had some amazing guests already sitting in these chairs, and today there is no difference because our next guest is not only an inspirational woman, but a leader and just a good human being. She is the Vice President of Etihad, and she's with us right now, Fatma Al Mehairi. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Kris, for having me here on the show, and extremely excited to share my experience and journey with all of you today.
It is great, and I mean, listen, I want to talk about you to begin with. 13 years with Etihad. How did it all start?
So I started right after my studies in France. I came back to UAE and started with Etihad Airways as a graduate manager. So chose sales as my field and went on an international assignment to France for 3 years, and then reached a milestone actually in my experience where I headed Canada as the country manager and the first female Emirati within the company being a country manager.
Wow, that's amazing. You were the first female Emirati to be able to do what you do. Did you believe that you were going to get there? Did you know 13 years ago this is where you wanted to end up?
Well, I knew that I was ambitious and I wanted to grow within Etihad Airways, and especially representing the airline abroad was satisfactory, and being an ambassador as well to the airline abroad was extremely satisfying. So wanted to continue to that path, but obviously didn't know or expect that I would reach those heights, but extremely grateful for the journey and for the trust and confidence that Etihad has given me and the leadership as well.
Let's talk about climbing the ladder. You obviously started in a basic position or an entry-level position, and you've worked your way up over 13 years. Even if you're a female or male, any tips on how to climb the ladder, like how to progress in your career?
So I would say, first of all, have self-confidence, and then build your relationship internally within the company. Okay. I started by having a mentor within the company who actually shared his experience with me and taught me what are the next steps to take in my professional experience. So, and then obviously, while taking every step of my experience, what is really important is hard work and consistency.
Yeah, nothing beats hard work, right?
Exactly.
Talking about like the female side of female empowerment, for you being an Emirati woman, you're inspiring other women, not just from the UAE, but from around the world. How does that feel, and what would you like to say to them?
I think more and more we should support each other as women, regardless of the industry, and especially amongst Emirati women. So take every challenge that is coming your way, get out of your comfort zone, and no matter if those challenges are a project or traveling abroad or taking that hard position that we don't think we're able to do, just take the opportunity and prove yourself.
Good on you. And you've done that, and you're doing it for many people around you right now. 20 years celebrating Etihad Airways.
Exactly.
We're 20 years.
20 years.
As much as that sounds like old, it's young.
Yeah.
When you look at the airline industry, 20 years and already achieved so much right here in Abu Dhabi. How does that feel?
We're extremely proud of the journey that we have gone through. I mean, Etihad, we currently have more than 70 destinations. Only this year, for our 20 years, we announced 12 new destinations, amongst them being Boston, first time.
Wow.
I mean, we opened the first Scandinavian country, Copenhagen. We opened Osaka. We're reopening Nairobi. A lot of exciting destinations are coming our way, but also without forgetting the new terminal that we have all been waiting for, Terminal A, that opened as well this month.
I know the new airport, the new international airport, Abu Dhabi, is unbelievable. I got to see it a few months or about a month before it opened, and I remember walking in and just thinking to myself, are we in the year 2035? It's so futuristic. It feels so like ahead of its time.
It is, but also if you can see, I mean, you still have the touches of Abu Dhabi roots and Abu Dhabi
Totally.
heritage, and it's such a pride to see as well the vision of our leaders to have such an iconic airport and futuristic airport that takes the whole experience to another level.
When you look at the location of where Abu Dhabi is situated, you know, obviously in the UAE, but around the world, it's such a central hub, and it's allowing people to come and travel, you know, the world and flying into Abu Dhabi. The airport itself, its location is great, yeah?
It is, and obviously we're extremely proud of being located in such a geographical area where we connect to the major cities across the world, but also partnering with airlines. I mean, recently we announced our partnership with Air France KLM, who have direct flights from Paris to Abu Dhabi, but also with SAS to connect within the Scandinavian countries. So yes, I mean, prime location, but we need to also make sure that we leverage on this location.
Of course, 70 destinations flying with Etihad, all coming out of Abu Dhabi. The brand new airport is a beautiful thing to see. Let's talk sustainability, because I know it's something that Etihad Airways really takes care of as well. They're very in tune with what's happening around us. Let's talk more about the sustainability side of what you guys do.
So one of the key areas is our young fleet. I mean, we have the most modern fleet in the region, but also the fact that we have the most sustainable aircrafts like the A350, the 787s, but we build also a lot of, we invest in mangroves when it comes to sustainability, and we're committed to reduce plastic by more than 80%. Wow. So a lot of energy is going there in sustainability, but also partnering with a lot of companies that share our vision when it comes to sustainability. So yeah, key element here are the aircrafts as well that are very fuel efficient.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned mangrove, because Abu Dhabi has some beautiful mangroves. Just driving onto the island, you see them, and they're beautiful. I remember I brought my sister in from Australia, and she said, "Are these natural mangroves?" I've said, "Yeah, this is what the islands have in Abu Dhabi." It's so beautiful, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can go kayaking there, go for a walk. Abu Dhabi has lots to offer, and mashallah, seeing the development of Abu Dhabi within the recent years. Yeah. Look at Saadiyat by itself. I mean, Louvre opened, Guggenheim and Sheikh Zayed Museum, the Natural History Museum as well, that are now opening within the next few years. The vision of our leadership is extremely ambitious, and we see it and we're witnessing it as we move.
You know, I think you're right. I think with the leader's ambition, I think it pushes all of us to wanting to succeed and do more, right?
Exactly.
So it's a beautiful thing to see. And
it's also our goal as an airline to bring more and more people to Abu Dhabi to witness and see what Abu Dhabi has to offer. And also the fact that it's only 1 hour away from Dubai. Yeah. I mean, not a lot of people know about this, where you can combine, I mean, completely two different cities within one trip.
Let's talk about customer feedback. You work in the airline industry. Obviously there's a lot of good things that happen, but there's also feedback from customers that may want a change. What do you see? How do you guys deal with the good feedback and the negative feedback?
We're very committed in receiving feedback. So on every flight, we ask our customers how do they think, what do they want to change, and also our Etihad guests. We regularly ask for their feedback, even when we're opening new destinations. What would they like to see? So we take this feedback very seriously, and as you see, probably within the customer experience, on the aircraft, on the ground, a lot of changes have been made within the recent 3 years. Let me give you an example. Now, when you enter Abu Dhabi airport, you have a check-in that is dedicated for families with kids.
Love that.
And it is in collaboration with Warner Bros. Abu Dhabi. And also the amenity kits that we have on board, the food that we give on board, everything is in collaboration with Warner Bros. Abu Dhabi. So these are small touches that make a difference for the kids traveling with us.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I'm a father of 3 now, so traveling with kids is sometimes can be difficult or harder. So the fact that you've just got to check in for the family, I think is a perfect, I guess, aspect. I've been able to fly Etihad in economy, in business, and in first. And I can honestly say that every single time I've flown, no matter the category, you do get that entire experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I heard people telling me, even when they travel economy, that it has the space like an economy space cabin.
Yeah.
In business, I don't know if you have seen, I mean, we introduced in our 350s a hybrid model between a first and a business class.
Wow.
Whereby it is private and you can close the cabin in business class. So this is something that we're also introducing now across our business class in different aircrafts.
That's fantastic. So we're growing. It's 20 years of Etihad here, obviously in Abu Dhabi. Tactics, little tips. You obviously work in the industry when it comes to traveling. I'm guessing you would know more than the average person. What are little tips that you can give us when we're maybe booking flights or traveling somewhere?
I mean, knowing us here in the region, when we travel, we fly with a lot of baggage, right?
Yes.
Often people would go to the airport and would pay their extra luggage. But a useful tip that I would give is go on the website and you would actually get up to 30% discount on your extra baggage. So pay that in advance and you can get discounts prior to your flight.
So if we are wanting to travel with more luggage, don't just rock up to the airport with it because you're going to get charged, obviously. You can save 30% if you check it in or you do the payment beforehand.
Exactly.
See, there's so many things that I've learned, and even before we got onto this podcast, you and I were talking. When it's hotter and the temperature's hotter, the planes have to run differently, which means there's maybe less baggage that you can carry. These are all things that I've just learned. So as a passenger, we just get on, we just walk on and expect to, there's a lot that goes on getting an aircraft up in the air and flying to these destinations.
Correct. From an operational perspective, it's amazing. I mean, the work that is going behind the scenes to ensure that our travelers travel in a smooth manner.
Sure. Let's talk more about the partnership side of things. I know that Etihad, you mentioned Warner Brothers World, for example, Abu Dhabi, but what other partnerships are running right now that you guys are doing collaboration somewhat with?
So one of the biggest ones, I would say, is the one that we have with DCT, Department of Culture and Tourism, is on the stopovers. So to bring in more and more people to try Abu Dhabi, we offer 2 nights for free in economy and business class when our guests stop over in Abu Dhabi. So this applies to people who are traveling, let me give an example, from London to Australia, and you want to try Abu Dhabi for a few days. Then you're able to experience that. And you can book it through our website directly. And obviously this is to promote Abu Dhabi more as a tourism destination.
So you're telling me, if we were to book online and I was flying from London to Australia, home is Australia for me, that I could get a 2 free nights accommodation in Abu Dhabi?
Exactly.
To experience the city.
Yes.
That is fabulous.
That's amazing.
And I was saying, like, you know, over the last, it doesn't stop, be it the UFC, the NBA, the F1 Etihad Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Ferrari World, Warner Brothers World Abu Dhabi, whatever it is, there's so much to do. So for a family especially, those 2 days spent in Abu Dhabi, no matter if you want to get the culture from the Louvre or you want to go on a roller coaster, you've got really everything covered, and you're showcasing that to the world. Hey, come to Abu Dhabi, enjoy, have a little taste. You know, for 2 days. I feel like you need more than 2 days.
Exactly.
But you get a little taste, and then you come back and you spend a week or 2 next time.
Exactly. And the beauty of Abu Dhabi as well is that everything is close by. So obviously, if you come to one of our hotels, if you stay in Yas Island, for example, you, as a family, you get to experience a lot in 2 days.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about the future of aviation, but also the future of Etihad. Where do we go? I don't know. It's hard to think. What more can we do? Have you thought about what's happening when it comes to future in aviation as a whole and a future for Etihad Airways?
I mean, yeah, our CEO have recently announced as well that our vision 2030 is that we're going to be tripling the number of our passengers, doubling our fleet, and doubling the number of destinations. So, I mean, we're very much looking forward to this growth, but also we have an airport that will be able to manage this capacity, of course.
Of course, and you know, with so much going on, the big C word, COVID. Obviously, we went through that, and as one of the biggest industries that got impacted was the airline industry. You guys would have learnt a lot from that as well.
Yeah.
From not being able to travel to now having 70 destinations, the most you ever had.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
I mean, incredible, especially when I came back from France and from Canada to UAE, it was during COVID times. So it was also adapting to this whole, do you remember the green list, the red list that we used to have?
I remember.
So adapting to that, and then we also built a corridor between Dubai and Abu Dhabi to make sure that the guests that are going to Dubai are going to have a seamless trip as well. But adapting to this new way of working, I mean, the business was completely closed down.
So how was it for you were you VP of sales at that time as well?
Yeah,
so your core job is to sell.
Exactly.
But at that time, you had nothing to sell. You could not sell.
So you actually had to adapt to the new ways. The other things that we looked at are, for example, repatriation flights. A lot of countries requested charter flights for their citizens to be repatriated from point A to point B. This is something that we never have done earlier. So things that we worked on that we have never worked on before. So it was also building on new strategies during these challenging times.
Let's say that you've got a friend coming in from overseas to spend 3 days here in Abu Dhabi. What are your top 5 things that you would want them to do? If you had to experience Abu Dhabi, I mentioned earlier on, we have the Louvre, we have even downtown Abu Dhabi, we have the Grand Mosque, we have so much.
Yeah.
What are the top 5 things that you would want to showcase for Abu Dhabi? I want to list them out, see your top 5.
I would say obviously the iconic Sheikh Zayed Mosque.
Agreed.
قصر الوطن.
Have you ever? I haven't done that.
No, you have to.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay.
And then I would say SeaWorld.
Yes, okay. Experienced it. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Warner Bros. When we're talking about Yas.
Yep.
And then the Louvre.
The Louvre, yeah. It's special.
And if I can have a 6th one,
yeah, go.
I would add the Abrahamic family house.
Okay, see, I haven't been there either. What would I experience there?
So you have the mosque, the church, and the synagogue that have been built together.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, and that's one thing that we celebrate so well here in the UAE, here in Abu Dhabi. You know, the synergy between all, no matter where you're from, your nationality, your culture, it all works well.
Exactly.
I really feel that, you know, the world could learn a lot about what we do here, right?
Yeah.
As an Emirati woman, do you feel proud? Do you feel proud about that?
Extremely proud, and the tolerance that we have amongst all religions, and I mean we're the first ones actually in the region that are very tolerant.
I agree. Again, I flew in 16 years ago to the UAE, and I said, I'll try for a couple of years, and then 16 years later, I realized this is home. You know, this has become my home, and it's so beautiful that, you know, the local, you guys allow us to also share it alongside you, and we see how beautiful and how gorgeous it is, and all you got to do is come and spend a couple of days here in Abu Dhabi, and you realize, wow, this place is pretty remarkable. I had my sister just fly in, and I showed her, you know, we went to Yas Island, We then stayed at the beautiful Saadiyat Island, and I was explaining to her how Saadiyat Island is a reserve. It's protected because she was trying to work out why the water was so perfect.
Turquoise.
And you guys do such a great job out here just to protect what you already have. And we woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and there was dolphins just going through the ocean. And for even me that I lived here for so long, I didn't realize that we had just beautiful dolphins, fresh, like real dolphins just in the water, right? It's just a remarkable city in itself.
Yeah. And then you have the turtles as well coming in the to lay their eggs on Saadiyat Beach every morning. I mean, this is also spectacular to watch. So it is preserved. And I mean, Saadiyat is amazing.
I know. You could spend a week there, easy. Let's talk about you again. You're the vice president of Etihad Airways right now. You've been here for 13 years with Etihad.
Yes.
In the next 13 years, where would you want to see yourself? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about where you'd like to see yourself?
13 years is quite long. But at the same time, I love the airline and I'm passionate about the airline industry. One thing is for sure is that I see myself with Etihad Airways. But also hopefully at higher levels moving forward. But one thing that is important as well for me is to continue inspiring young Emiratis, men or women, to lead the way as well in the future.
Let's talk about, again, you mentioned earlier on hard work. And a lot of people don't realize that. Some people think that you can just go to college or university, get the degree, and then you're sorted. But I think what they fail to understand is that you may have that degree, but you also need that hard work. And for someone like you, there would have been many people that went to college and got the same education that you got. What do you think the difference is from you? You know, we're not talking lesser of these people, but where they are and where you are maybe in the corporate world, you're further up. You mentioned the word hard work. Explain what that means. Does that mean whilst your friends were out over the weekend or during the week, you decided, no, I'm going to stay home and do more work, or I'm going to sacrifice and go move to Canada? Or like, what is hard work? And explain that to someone that may be, you know, trying to work through their own studies right now.
I would say getting out of your comfort zone. I mean, I got the opportunity as well to study abroad. So did my studies in France. Obviously, that helped me as well later on during my professional career to go to France and continue my international assignment there. I spoke French to the market.
Did you speak French before leaving the UAE? Before leaving Abu Dhabi, did you know how to speak French?
Yeah, I actually learned it in school. So got the opportunity to work in a market like France, which is our top revenue destinations, and was able to get out of my comfort zone and work in a market like France. And then obviously going all the way to Canada, which is for us, I mean, extremely far, being far from home, but yet taking up this challenge, and then going back again to France as the country manager for France, where I went from Canada 3 flights a week to double daily in France. So yes, it was a huge challenge, but if I won't know unless I try and take that opportunity. So the advice that I would give is, yes, it is hard work, but it's all about getting out of your comfort zone, being able to try something new. And sometimes it is tough, it is challenging, and you could work extremely late hours. Market conditions could be tough. People look at you in a different way, but you still have to be resilient, and make sure that you have your goal in mind and work towards that.
Great advice. I like that. Getting out of your comfort zone is so important. But you know, when I remember again, when I moved here, it was totally out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
For you, leaving, you know, Abu Dhabi to go and study, 2 things. How were you when you first landed in France? Obviously, you spoke the language, you said, but how was that feeling? And secondly, the family support. Because I think that's a big thing.
It is a big
encouragement
thing.
from the family to do so, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think even though I spoke French, I would say I spoke basic French.
Yeah.
You reach there and you know how fast French people speak. Obviously, you don't get a word. And at the same time, you're like, everything that I studied is basically useless because you have to start from scratch. But what is important is the family support. I think I really got scared of moving abroad, leaving my family behind, my friends behind, my country behind. But also it was for the bigger purpose of coming back one day with that experience. So I remember I was scared. I left at 17. But my family gave me all the support saying, you are going to learn so many you're going to have so many advantages from this trip that you're going to come back a changed person. So without them, to be honest, I wouldn't have reached where I am today.
So it's the 100X podcast with Destination Abu Dhabi. For you, because you've traveled so much and you've met so many people around the world, and you obviously work within the industry of travel, do you find that Abu Dhabi over the last few years especially, do you feel like it's become more of a city that everyone's aware of as the city to go to for that week away, or to travel to go see the UFC? I mean, I have friends that fly in from the States just to come to the F1 because it's the final race of the season, and they know that Abu Dhabi does it a little bit better than everybody else. We can say that. Do you find that within your circle, from people that live on the outside, they know more about Abu Dhabi over the last few years?
100%. And obviously I kept contact with a lot of people in Canada and France that are coming. I mean, while I was there, they would never come to Abu Dhabi before. But within the course of 3 years being in Abu Dhabi now, back in Abu Dhabi, they came probably at least twice. So a lot of things happening here. And as you said, all the action that is happening in Abu Dhabi, like the UFC, the F1, the NBA, we had the discussion earlier. I mean, these are things where now Abu Dhabi is being on the map, and as well bringing in a lot of celebrities, concerts happening here, and we're very proud of all the achievements of Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, you mentioned NBA. I'm a huge NBA fan, and I usually go watch the Lakers play when I'm in LA, and to be at the Etihad Arena, sitting, lucky enough to have courtside tickets, and I'm watching the NBA, and I'm seeing Steve Harvey over here and Michael B. Jordan over here and Shaquille O'Neal. And I'm like, there are more celebrities here than there were in Hollywood when I was watching it in Los Angeles. We've really done a great job here in Abu Dhabi to attract the world to come out here. And for some of them, I know that they stop, but then I know that some of them want to get residencies and they want to come out here and live now after having that taste of the UAE and Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah. And fantastic opportunities as well with the golden visas. And I mean, opportunities are wide open now across the UAE.
Etihad Airways, obviously you're the vice president of sales. For the last 13 years, you said that you had a mentor. Do you have anyone in your organization now that you feel you're a mentor for? Because I feel like paying it forward is something really important, and I'm guessing there'd be a few employees within the company that look up to you now and say, I'd love to be like Fatma one day.
Yeah.
Do you have that? You'll feel like you're mentoring them?
Actually, I sit with a lot of people and give advice, but I don't have a mentor.
Sure.
But I think this is something that I really want to work on within the upcoming months, and be able to mentor others in the airline.
In your industry, what's the funnest part of your job, would you say? Is there a fun part to it? Like the part that you enjoy doing? Because we all have different jobs, and there are good parts to a job, and then there's not so good parts that you want to avoid. For you, is there a highlight? Is it making budget? Is it like, what is it?
I would say meeting clients and hearing from them and on all the updates that they have, and now being able to manage several markets, traveling very often and meeting clients from different countries, who have different mindsets and different ways of working. This is really an eye-opening, and this is the part that I enjoy the most.
Which I love. I think that is. I mean, for me, even working on radio and doing these certain things, just talking to people, and because once you talk to enough people, especially outside the country that you're from, you become more self-aware, you become more cultured, you become more understanding, empathy, compassion.
Yeah.
So you get to do that a lot, obviously working in the travel industry.
Exactly. And really, I think this is the part that I enjoy the most, as well as traveling.
Yeah.
As this is really my passion, if it's for professional reasons, personal reasons, and not to forget, we're in sales, so it's all about hitting our targets.
Of course. Let me ask you, when you get on a plane, are you judging it straight away? You work within the industry, so it's, as soon as you get on it, you're looking around, and well, this shouldn't be like that, or they're doing a good job here. Do you find yourself doing that a lot?
I think to the smallest attention to detail. So from the food, from the way it's served, from when do they serve it, and then, I mean, I don't know if you remember, Kris, the music on board Etihad Airways. I mean, this is the
the flagship of it. When you walk in, you know what you're experiencing. Yeah, Etihad do a really good. You know what I like is the lighting. I think the lighting plays a big role, which some people don't take into account. But I think what you guys do with the lighting is it's incredible. It really sets the mood, right? Can I ask, when we talk about countries, be it the States or you mentioned France earlier on, Australia, maybe Asia, in the Asian area, where are a lot of the customers coming from flying into Abu Dhabi? Are we seeing more of a trend out of Europe into Abu Dhabi? Are we getting America coming in? From a sales point of view, you would know some of the numbers, but just roughly, where would we come from?
A lot of Europe and Indian subcontinent.
Wow, okay. That's where the majority is coming from.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, it's a long way for the US. You have a lot of people from the region here that go to the US.
Correct.
Could be on business trips, on personal trips.
Flying out, you mean, from Abu Dhabi?
From Abu Dhabi. Yeah. Top destinations would be Europe, US, and the Indian subcontinent.
Okay.
But then into Abu Dhabi, you have a lot of Europe's and Indian subcontinent.
Yeah, I mean, I've flown Abu Dhabi to the States. I've flown them through Australia. Actually, I flew Etihad, should I say, during COVID. And, again, as you said, adapting, I felt like you guys adapted so well, because we were adapting as passengers.
Yeah.
We were also going through the same as the business was. And I remember getting on that long haul flight from, Abu Dhabi to Sydney with the kids, and we all had to have our masks on, and the crew had their masks on and did everything. And I think adapting is really important. Not talking just COVID, but for you and what you do as your profession, just adapting is something that you must always do. Would you give that as an advice to someone getting into an industry? Always get ready to adapt to any type of situation.
Yeah, if it's like you said, Kris, I mean, if it's adapting to the changes in the company, adapting to the market conditions, adapting to probably the guests no longer have the same taste anymore, adapting to different cultures, because you wouldn't serve the same food going into Asia than in Europe than in US, for example. So you have to always be aware of what's happening and adapt accordingly.
What would you like to say to a 12 I've got two daughters, 12 and 14. What would you like to say to a young woman right now who could be the future vice president of Etihad Airways in sales? What would you want to say to them right now to inspire them?
The sky is not the limit, for sure. I would say take any opportunity given to you. Be passionate about what you're doing, but also take the support and advice wherever you can, wherever you have it, and be confident in yourself, and continue working hard, and have ultimately always having your objective in mind. Yeah,
you've inspired me. I think you've inspired us not only to jump on a plane jump on with Etihad. You've inspired, I think, many to come out and experience what Abu Dhabi has to offer. Super proud of what you've achieved, you know, for the UAE and for Abu Dhabi. So make sure that I want you to acknowledge yourself and be proud of yourself, because we sometimes don't do that enough. And what you've achieved, Fatma, has been absolutely amazing. I want to say thank you so much for spending some time on the 100X podcast here with Destination Abu Dhabi, and we hope to get to talk to you soon.
Thank you. A real pleasure as well talking to you, Kris, and thank you for your time, and a pleasure being here on the show.
Well, until next episode, right here on the 100X podcast, powered by Destination Abu Dhabi. I'm Kris Fade, and I'll see you soon.